Good morning. Today is the 14th of November 2021, the second Sunday in November. On the second Sunday, we observe Shotsuki Hoyo, and in the month of November, we observe Etai Kyo. Shotsuki Hoyo, of course, is the monthly memorial service for those who have passed away in the month of November. Etai Kyo, or perpetual memorial service, is dedicated for those who have passed away, especially for those who have no one to honor or remember them. Among those individuals who have no children or living relatives to honor them. Others have passed away long ago, and there are no living memories of them, and thus these individuals are essentially forgotten and no longer exist. The deceased for whom there is no one to honor them is known as Muen Botoke. Buddhas or spirits who have no connection with this world. I spoke about Muen Botoke during my April Dharma message. My notes for that Dharma message are summarized in the temple's April newsletter. The title of that article is On Remembering. Briefly, the area around Adashino Nembutsuji in the Arashiyama section of Kyoto was an area where the dead were abandoned. When the area was being developed, small images of Buddhas and stupas were unearthed. They must have been placed there by those who abandoned the dead or by those who found their remains. These images, the Buddhas and small stupas, were collected and given to the temple, Adashina Nembutsuji, whose priests in turn chanted sutras on the behalf of the deceased. As I mentioned in the October Dharma message that was last month, the Japanese take great joy in remembering and especially in reminiscing. This remembering and reminiscing is tinged with melancholy and sadness. The Buddhist temple and its accompanying rituals are vehicles for remembering. The major services, Bodhite, Nehan E, Hanamatsuri, reminds us that this is a Buddhist temple and that we are a Buddhist. Honko, Kotange, honor Shinran Shonin, the spiritual founder of Jodo Shinshu. New Year service is most important for the Japanese. It reminds them that they are Japanese. In addition, we have Obon. And for individuals and families, we have mortuary and memorial services, which are vehicles for remembering and reminiscing. The family tomb holds great reverence. It is a reminder of the past and a reminder that the living is just one generation in a long succession of generations, not only of the past, but of the future. In November, the article I submitted for the newsletter speaks about how the Chinese picked and chose those aspects of Buddhism they liked and transforming those that they kept. The Japanese too also picked and chose those aspects of Buddhism they liked and transformed those items that made them happy. You can read my thoughts on these in the newsletter. The gift of the Dharma, of course, is a great treasure. For Jodo Shinshu, Amida Buddha's compassion is the gift beyond measure. This is the gift that Shinran Shonin highlighted. The great legacy of Shinran Shonin was to highlight the notion of gratitude. While gratitude is implicit in the Dharma, this virtue is not in the forefront. Buddhism is most often associated with wisdom, meditation, and the perfection of the paramitas. The paramitas, of course, are dana, giving, sila, precepts, patience, diligence, concentration, and wisdom. With these paramitas, the devotee is actively engaged in doing, and progress can be measured. In contrast, Shinran Shonin's Jodo Shinshu teaching, all that is required is wholeheartedly believe that we are embraced by the great compassion of Amida Buddha. Reciting Namo Amida Butsu is an expression of gratitude. It is very difficult to measure belief. There is no standard for measuring such a virtue. More immediately, the founders of this temple, of this Sangha, thought this gift to be so precious that they founded this Sangha, purchased this building, and established the Dharma school, not only for their children, but for the greater American community. These efforts are the concrete manifestations of their compassion. These are their compassionate legacy. Marie Kondo, the organizing consultant, says that her KonMari method is in part inspired by Shinto, where cleaning and organizing honors the spirit of things, that is, kami, and the right way to live. In Japan, we often come across shimenawa with shide, paper streamers hanging from the rope that is tied around a shrine, entryway, or large or unusual objects. Unusual individuals with great talent are known also as kami. The shime nawa and shide signifies that the area is sacred or the person that is being honored has some great mysterious power. In this photo, Irene and I are standing in front of the fufusugi, husband and wife cedar. This fufusugi is an example of this attitude of gratitude that pervades Japanese society. Here is another picture that honors the mountain. And this third picture is the photo honors the kami of the earth, the deity of the earth. It was located on a small alleyway in the Kumano region. The Japanese are notorious for not throwing anything away. I always thought that this trait stemmed from the experience of the Great Depression and having so little. All Kyoto families have large kuras, storehouses in which generations of family treasures are stored. Personally, when my mother passed away and we returned to tidy up, I was surprised at the mementos that my mother chose to keep. I saw a figurine that I gifted to my mother when I was 5 or 6. I remembered because I bought it with the money I saved. Probably it was very expensive, $1.15 or 25 cents from Arakawa's. For her, it was a treasure. All letters and photographs that my parents and grandparents kept are especially meaningful. They offer glimpses of my past. A few weeks ago, a cousin sent a letter from my grandmother's nephew that she had unearthed. The letter was about my visit to Tokyo in 1957. Reading it, it was a trip down memory lane. The trait of not discovering anything is evident when one visits Nara. Temples were built in the Tang Dynasty style still survive. I watch from time to time Antique Roadshow. Often, that show often highlights recently discovered items in attics, garages, and barns, and in closets. Others find items in junk shops. The question is always asked, how much did you pay for it? How much do you think it's worth? The interviewee, that is the person who brought the object in, is often astonished. This is especially true for artwork. The message here is look around the house and never throw anything away. This is why I'm supposing that the Japanese homes are so cluttered. I digress. But closer to home, I'm wondering what will happen to the things, especially my library, that I've accumulated these past 50 years. Some rare books have fallen into my hands. I am thinking of tidying up my library. Cataloging would be the best solution. This effort is probably beyond my capacity. I should at least categorize them. All as it is now, the books are all over the place. I converted our living room into my library. The only thing I have is my memory in locating books. Still, I still use and thus need my library. Books are hard to let go. But here again, I am digressing. Gratitude is the aspect of the Dharma that Shinran chose to highlight. And in so doing, he established a new tradition. Gratitude is what the first generation immigrants brought with them to Hawaii and later on to the continental USA. Immigrants brought other traditions of Buddhism, of course, but these traditions all brought the virtue of gratitude. Probably because, as Marie Kondo says, the respect of things is ingrained in Shinto, and this is the first and original faith of the Japanese. Which leads to the question, what will the Japanese American Jodo Shinshu Sangha and their progeny and the non-Japanese Jodo Shinshu Sangha chose to keep and transform? I think the virtue of gratitude would be a good one. I begin my ruminations with remembering. The temple is a vehicle for remembering about our Buddhist culture and roots family mortuary and memorial rituals are also vehicle for remembering. To remember is to honor and have great respect for our Buddhist and cultural roots. Remembering is also to honor and express. To remember is also to honor and express our gratitude for our forebears. I am thankful for being remembered. During the height of the pandemic lockdown, we received calls from the Okinawan Kenjinkai here in San Francisco and in Los Angeles to check up on their elders. If we needed anything, they would send someone over to help us with shopping and ferrying us to doctor's appointments and the like. Fortunately, we're still able to drive and get around, but we will need help as we get older. Earl called several times, I think, to call several times to offer encouragement. Lorraine, a fellow traveler, regularly posted postcards. Finally, in reviewing my notes, I've been commuting to the Marin Buddhist temple for some 10 plus years. When I came in these past 10 years, I conducted the service and delivered a Dharma message. I must not have offended you in any substantial way because I was asked to continue to deliver a message over Dharma messages over Zoom and was asked to write a message for the monthly newsletter. The first article was for now. It appeared in June 2020. We were just into the pandemic letdown, and I thought I should share with you my apprehensions, the death of George Floyd, and the shrill political rhetoric. Since the Sangha had no regular minister, and since I have been with you some years, my ministerial instincts kicked in. The last paragraph of my message reads, "Finally, my apprehensions are for now. Nothing continues except taxes forever. No matter how dreadful the pandemic may be, or how clumsily the nation's response may have been, this too will pass. The ongoing protests for racial justice is quickening a sea change that will make for a better tomorrow." After 18 months, the lockdown may finally be ending. The political rhetoric has not quieted while other issues have emerged. But I feel we have turned the corner and a brighter future lies ahead. For this, I am grateful. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida.